Hi everyone, it's Lennon. It's really early morning here, and I had threw out some of like my, I don't know what you don't call these crystals, I guess, like my bits and bobs that I like to set out that make me giddy when I get in the mood to sling cards for real. And I'm in my Crone time, right? And what that means is that this time of year, for a couple of months, I pull out the Crone aspect that lives within myself. Okay, this, I'd like to think, this wise, long, white-haired, beautiful soul that lives inside of me. And I hope to manifest that when I get older. This Crone that is wise and that has seen and done things that have taught her how to be that. I don't know what it is about this year, but I feel kind of stuck. I feel like the Crone inside of me is silent a little bit. And I have been able to, I don't know what you call it, channel. So that's not really the right word. I guess talk with the aspect inside of me. And so, therefore, what do we all do when we get stuck? I need to edge this. Wouldn't that be nice if I edged this in black? This is my lovely Tarot of the Crone, which is my main working deck in working with the Crone archetype. There's something about these images that pull out all the aspects of the goddess that lives inside of me. This piece of white light divinity that lives in my soul holds all the aspects of the goddess. But there's something about this deck that has always helped me talk with the Crone. One thing to note before we get into this, I don't know if I mentioned it in another video, but Ellen Lorenzi Prince, the creator of this deck, has some editions available on her website. I think it was just like a short little run, like, you know, 4th edition type of a thing. And I won't be buying another copy. I hope that this copy never falls apart, but I never see really the sense in getting a backup deck per se, because I feel like the bond that I have with this specific deck, I'll never have that with a new one. Even if this were to somehow, you know, grow old with me and fall apart. But I've always been able to use this deck, right? And I wanted to kind of see today on camera if, like, what messages we get. Because, or, you know, well, we, whoever, me. Because I felt like maybe if the camera were on her, it'd be a little bit different. She'd be a little bit more willing to storytell. Usually she's the silent type. Usually she's in the shadows aspect of self. The hidden, she already believes in herself. She doesn't need to wear the mask that is for society, right? And I've been working with the Crone to deal with, like, my vulnerability, deal with the voice that I have that seems to be shunned sometimes. sometimes I get into bouts with my witchcraft practice and doubting whether my witchcraft is real, doubting whether my magic is real. I think that we all sort of go through those bouts of insanity sometimes where we don't believe in our own power. And I know that the crone that lives inside of me knows of my power because she's used it already. She's already harnessed it for herself. She's already gone through all of this. She's already gone through the doubt. She's already gone through, you know, the self-loathing and self-sabotage. And I know that when I pull her out, and there may be a poem that I write to her as like a devotional. There may be a letter I write to her that I put in my, you know, magical journal to go back and read and reflect on later. But all those things are beautiful. But I really thought that by harnessing her power for a little bit each year, that within that would teach me. But I'm finding that that's not what's happening. I'm finding that it's just the fact that she's in there that's healing me. She's actually not doing anything. She's just there, and she's living there, and she's living there in my soul as someone who has grew. And she already knows that no matter how wise she is, there is still room for more growth. There is still room for more shadow work. There is still room for forgiveness. There is still room for empathy to humanity. You know, like I've met, working with older people, I've met a lot of older crone, especially women, that have a bitterness to them about life. Maybe their families don't visit them or whatever. There's a bitterness, and instead of harnessing the solitude that they face in later on in their life and the loneliness, and I'm not saying I won't face that when I'm older, but I'm facing it now. I'm facing the loneliness now. I'm facing the realization that I have to teach myself now. I can't wait. I can't wait for me to be 50, 60, 70 years old to be wise. I have to learn how to be wise now. I have to be open and honest with myself now. It's great that she lives there as the crone aspect of me. It's great that I'm willing to work with her and love her and respect her for the wisdom that she has. But what am I supposed to be doing now for her to come about? There's got to be work for me to do now, so that when I am a crone, that woman inside of my soul that I hold such reverence for, she won't be that if I don't work on it now. I hope that makes sense. I'm just sitting here feeling raw and vulnerable as hell, and I thought that I'd share that little bit with you and pull some cards to kind of show some love for the crone that lives inside of me, for the work that I must start now, the work that I needed to have started years ago, the work that I do with my inner child to hold the magic that I had in my childhood. That's what's going to keep her going. That's what's going to keep the bitterness at bay, is to play with the inner child, to bring out healing, be accepting to healing, and be giddy about life, and be giddy about faith in general and be giddy about the magic that she has, but she's not going to be able to have any of that if I don't learn how to work with those other aspects of myself. You know, there's a country song about, ooh, look at that, we got a jumper. There's a country song about you're gonna miss this, you know. Yeah, your kids are young and they're obnoxious and stuff, but you're gonna miss this when they're older. And sitting here now with children, I can remember a time when I was so young. Like when I first met my now husband, I was 14 years old. And the first time he ever told me he loved me, we were in a tree. We had climbed a tree together. The ritual tree on my property. And I think about that time, how full of grace and love I felt in that moment. And how that was before children, right? And I miss that. I miss that moment. I'm not saying we don't have moments now, okay? Our love is something different than what all I thought I knew about love, to be honest with you. But I miss that. And when we became parents, the coupledom kind of chipped away because, you know, we live very simple lives and we don't have a lot of money to go, like, we don't date, you know, like most the couples that you hear about. They're like, oh, you need a date night. It's like, okay, well, you got the money. We don't. So we kind of have to, you know, finagle that, but you miss the coupledom when you become parents. And then I know that now that my children are turning the cusp into puberty and teenagehood, that I miss them being little babes. I miss their tiny hands. And working with the Crone makes me realize how much I'll have seen when I get that age. And that's going to be so inspiring to look back on my life and think, man, a lot of shit has happened to me. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. It must be, you know, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for getting emotional because it is I am full of emotion and I don't have to apologize for that. And anyway, I woke up today wanting to work with the Crone and work with this deck because it's like my ritualistic deck when working with the Crone. And I felt so raw this morning. I don't know what it is about the sunrise today. But I thought, what am I doing today to heal and manifest that wise Crone that I so want to be when I'm older? What am I doing today? And I'm just, look at that. This is the Lover's card. She calls it Crossroads because the Lover's card is not about love per se. It's just about the choices that we are faced with in life and how daunting they are. And this card reminds me of Hecate standing at the crossroads. And it's up to us to figure out which path to take, but it's okay to come back to center and reassess the path. It's okay to hold different aspects of ourselves at once. And this was a jumper, this Justice. I find it really cool that I got two majors. Justice sitting here like this grandmother spider. this Native American spider woman archetype here. This is the work. How profound is this web? I think about all the things that make webs. Spiders make webs. We can web lies. There's a web of lies, webs of deceit, webs of growth. I think about the ley lines of the earth, and I think about basket weaving, what my ancestors may have been doing to weave the world, weave the fabric of reality that they knew. And this incredible Four of Cups here, standing alone. And I think about this black void here with the cloak, and how the figure isn't looking out to what is, but is fully immersed in the present. And regardless of what the feeling is, because I know like in the Rider deck, that's like a boredom card, right? Or whatever. But in this deck, to me, this card fills me with a loneliness, not a sad, but a profound loneliness. That because I am able to be alone so much in my life, that's helping me. That'll heal the bitterness later on when I'm lonely and old, and I'll have bouts of, well, why don't my kids come visit me? And I'll remember this time right now and I'll go 12 hours as soon as my kids get on the bus to they get home. I don't speak to another living soul. That reminds me of that. And then this, it's pointing right at that Four of Cups. It was like pointing like this. This sacred, I think of this as an evil eye. This third eye. This seer, this second sight type of feeling here. This prophecy-esque type of an image here that I see, and how this is the vision of the future, just as it is now. That the loneliness and the rawness that I'm facing today, I have to heal within. I have to heal self, so that it won't lead to shadow shit later, I guess. And think about the web that I'm weaving. Am I conjuring a web of deceit? Or am I weaving a basket? Or am I weaving the loom of fate within the fabric of my own reality? I love this stark yellow too. Like, there's something about the colors in this deck that pull me so, like, I just go into trances, and there's so much work. But I want to pull one more card for the work. Like, what is the work? And before I do, I'm going to take some coffee. Salud. What is the work I'm supposed to be doing to manifest the best crone self of me? Look at that. Storyteller. I'm doing it right now. I'm coming on and sharing my story. I'm sharing my vulnerability. and not for ego, because this huge, I think of this figure here, how plump, you know, how pleasantly plump she is. I am going to be a pleasantly plump crone, okay? I already know. I'm a plus size girl now. I will be big in the hips when I'm older. How huggable figures like this are. And if you have never experienced a hug from a woman that is plump, I don't know how you're living. I love to be encompassed. The advice is so much sweeter. The slap on the butt is so much sweeter when you get a hug from a figure that looks like this. Just from my own experience. And how she's telling her story, but these figures here are in her bosom. Like within her rawness and in her vulnerability and whatever story she may tell, she's also hugging these people. Whether she's spanking them with her advice, whether she's slapping them across the face with her advice, there's still a hug there. And I have to learn how to do that. I have to learn how to tell my story and still give people the hug inside of it. I hope I'm doing that now. I hope that I'm shedding some light on loneliness and shedding a light on weaving the fabric of your reality and not waiting to weave. Don't wait to weave it. The time is now. And that's how I kind of just wanted to share how I work with the Tarot of the Crone, because I love this deck and I've shouted it out in a couple of other videos, but she needed a spotlight for a second today. I love that I've got my keys out for Hecate. As far as work, I got the guidebook out because I didn't know if I would be called to read it. I usually don't. There's lovely poetry in this little book from Ellen Lorenzi Prince, but I usually use this deck intuitively, just go off what my intuition is telling me. But I'm feeling called to read what she wrote about this. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am all nasally now. Listen to this. Grandmother of Swords, storyteller. I am a weaver of words, a teller of stories. The little ones learn how the world is woven. That's exactly right. A large, kindly figure gazes down at the small figures gathered in her lap, her mouth open in speech or song. Behind her are the mountains of a wider world. This grandmother has all the powers of the swords at her command: reason, imagination, revelation, and reflection. She speaks of what is and what could be. She feeds the minds of those around her, lest those minds become starved and narrow. In stories, truth can wear many faces. Tell some stories of your own, and know that in this way, the complexity of your world can be met with wonder and power rather than resistance. Go tell your story, and I'll continue to share mine. Much love, everyone.